Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of Powered Voice. My name is Kevin Ismail, and now we are off to yet another episode. And I mean, this episode is quite adventurous because we are talking about being adventurous and trying out new things as a young person and living out your life loud but responsibly. And so we have a guest, and he's an international guest. So she's an international guest. So she's going to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about yourself. So welcome to our podcast, Laura. Maybe you can introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Thanks so much for having me. My name is Laure, or Laure for the French people here.
Okay.
I am from France. I came to Kenya over 3.5 years ago.
Okay.
And loving it so far.
Okay. Adventure.
Yeah.
Would you define yourself or consider yourself an adventurous person?
Yes, I think so. I haven't always been, but once I enjoy actually stepping out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
It scares me, but at the same time, I get the thrill of it, and I want to push myself to do it.
Okay.
So, for example, me coming here
Yeah.
was one of those episodes where I didn't ask myself too many questions,
Mm-hmm.
and I just went for it. And I'm still scared,
Yeah.
of the idea of stepping out of my comfort zone, and but I know that when I've done it before, and when I do it, actually I feel good doing it.
Yeah.
But the anticipation before that, it's of course, like just like for everyone, it kind of scares me.
Yeah.
But still, yes, I think if you want to learn more about yourself and you want to grow and experience new things, you can't do that in your comfort zone. Otherwise, you'll find yourself stuck, and always, with people with the same mindset and with the same cultural environment. And if you want to experience new things, you'll have to make that step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. I mean, if your dreams don't scare you enough, then they're not big enough. So it's good to think. How did you end up coming to Kenya, and what brought you to Kenya?
So I was finishing university in France, and I was looking for an internship, just like many people do when they finish university.
Yeah.
And so I felt the need to go abroad. I always wanted to go abroad and potentially work also abroad. So I was applying. I applied to so many places all over the world. Yeah. And it turns out that I went through the different steps, and I was accepted for this internship position here in Nairobi.
Okay.
And at first, I didn't hear back for so long from that specific office here in Nairobi. So I had forgotten about it.
Okay.
And then when I see this email, I think, wait a minute, does that mean I'm going to Kenya? I didn't plan for this.
Okay.
But then, I think they were looking for someone very, very fast, and I had to go there really, really fast. So I thought, you know what? Let's just take this opportunity, and they need someone very soon. So I'm not going to ask myself too many questions. Otherwise, I'll get scared and I'll probably, hold back and probably not go. Yeah. So I just thought, okay, yes, let's do it. It was for 6 months. So I thought, okay, it's an experience, 6 months. And if, it doesn't work out for me, I'll go back.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, I was in Kenya. So it was so quick. I didn't have time to actually, get too scared of what would happen to me over here.
Okay.
And that's what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you were doing applications all over the world.
Yeah.
Was it something that you really wanted to come out of your country and explore and try out different things in a different country? Was it very intentional, or it was just you were in a space where you were looking at maybe going out?
I think at this point I had been studying for a while, for several years, and I've always been really drawn to traveling and experiencing new cultures and meeting new people, and I've always liked languages as well. So I've always known that I wouldn't imagine myself just staying in France and just settling down in France for long term before at least experiencing new things. So yeah, I thought I'll just get out there and see what is happening in the world in other places that I don't know. And I didn't necessarily like target Kenya as one like specifically. It I think it just happened by luck. Too. And then I was so glad, obviously, that it worked out.
I mean, if you didn't come to Kenya, I wouldn't have met you. So, I mean, it
exactly.
was very determined for you to come to Kenya. But the adventurous life continues. Now, you came to Kenya. You were supposed to be here for 6 months. Well, it's been more than 4 years now. I mean, are you still doing your internship?
Thank God I'm done with internships.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I came at a funny time in the world as well, because I came right before COVID hit, and then I was doing my internship, and I think I worked very hard. I was very motivated actually, and I liked the original work as an intern, and then I was there working very hard, and I think that was appreciated. And also I was there at the right time, the right place. We were like full in COVID, and the team there needed support, and I was there readily available. So they just thought, okay,
why not?
Why not? Let's just she's there.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess like 4 years later, for me it's still like an adventure. Of course, now I have I feel like I know my way around, kind of.
You feel like, or you know your way around?
I feel like I feel like I know my way around. And then maybe I go like I went on a trip very recently, and I realized, oh yeah, there's so much more to explore. So it's not over, and I feel like that adventure is still ongoing.
The adventurous life keeps on going and going and going. I mean, every day is an adventure, and we experience different things and new things.
Exactly.
And you never know. How are your first 2 weeks in the country? I mean, you came in, you're new in Africa. Is Kenya your first African country?
Yes, first ever.
So how was your maybe first 1 month, 2 weeks being in the country, being in the continent?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I haven't thought of it in a way. I think, it was everything is so different from what I know from, Europe, that I was just like a sponge. I was like soaking everything in. At the same time, I was so excited and so curious to be here and to experience so many new things. But also it was a very steep learning curve. I had to like figure out, where to stay and, like basic Kiswahili words. So I'm not lost. And especially because when you're a foreigner here, you're also perceived differently. So I think it was for me more to like adjust to how people like see you and how they react, and how you can manage that too. But overall, it was like amazing 2 weeks, I think. Like unsettling and definitely out of my comfort zone.
Okay. And well, there's the aspect of culture also, which is totally different. You've lived in all your life in Europe, and now you're in a totally different continent with different people, different languages. Did you find that difficult for you to fit or to settle in, and maybe to not necessarily fit in, but maybe in a way just be able to relate comfortably, or how was that for you?
That's a good question. I think I found it there are different aspects. Like some were difficult to adjust to, or I'm still adjusting to, and some were actually not that difficult. Of course, the culture is very different. The mindsets are also very different. Like the way people think and express themselves, and food is obviously very different. Language and just and just like way of life in Nairobi, it's very different. And some of it. Because I think I was very curious to know more and learn more and kind of inform myself, and and take it from people, you know, like I see things and I remember, I'm like, oh, okay, that's how it works, and I'll know for next time.
Yeah. Okay.
And like basic things that, you know, might be obvious to you but were not obvious to me at that time. But then it just goes with time. I think it's just about not being too like scared of, or you know, like you experience something that's very different, and then you can either like let it, you know, kind of destabilize you, like in the sense that you don't really know how to handle it, you don't know you know what to do when you get scared, because you realize, oh, this is actually like really really out of my comfort zone. Or you can choose to learn from it, accept it, and remember and adjust, you know. And it's about how you as a person, you adjust in that environment that is so different to you. And if you have that kind of positive attitude of saying, okay, it's very different, but I'm very happy to learn from it, and I want to know more. I guess also people see that, and they want to share more with you and teach you.
And have you made friends? How has it, in terms of friendship, has it been easy also, like getting friends? Because this is a totally new space for you. You don't know anyone apart from probably the people that you work with. How has been your social life throughout the...
So actually, it's a good question, because when I speak with my like other foreign friends, you know, it's not easy to get out of a bubble, because when you come here as a foreigner, first of all, you're very much into work, and that's your main, like, you know, entry point into a country is the place where you spend most of your time. So it's work, and then you make friends there, but it's, you know, it might be also that they're not in like the same age group as you, so it's easy then to just stay in that bubble of your workspace. And at the same time, it's hard to, you know, make friends kind of locally, like organically, because you know, you come here, but people already have their groups of friends and their life, so they're maybe not super interested in making new friends. But I came at a time where COVID hit, and then we were all working remotely, so I made friends with the people I was living with at the time. And also I made friends with the people who are working in the same building. Who are those friends?
I don't know about these friends who were working in the same building. And I think that's an interesting thing. How I met you is quite an interesting space. I think at that time I was working in a place where you were living in the above apartment, and I was working, my offices were below. And I think that's how we met. But that's a story for
another episode.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you've been able to create friends, and especially during COVID, which was one of the toughest time. And I know, you see, you don't meet people very often, so it's just work, people within your estate or your apartment, and that happens. And I think, I don't know, in terms of family, how was that experience for you during the whole COVID time? You're not able to travel out of Nairobi at some point. The only thing you have is your phone and internet, and probably friends that you meet once in a while. I don't know, how was that experience for you, especially being far away from your family at a time when the whole world is in a space where they're scared, in a world of uncertainty, I would say, because nobody knew what was going to happen tomorrow. I mean, you will see COVID really hit hard, especially in the European countries, not like here in Kenya. How was that experience for you?
That's a good question. Actually, it was not easy, because, you know, when you're far away from your family and you know how bad the situation is over there, of course you worry about their health, and and it's everything is put on hold there, and people are they were really suffering from, you know, quarantine, and then of course you have people getting sick, and maybe some were like seriously sick, and you're far away, so there's nothing you can do, there's nothing you can help with, and if something happens, like really tragic happens, then you're far away, and it's not easy for you to travel, and you can't actually really travel, so that was kind of scary and worrying. And also when like tragedies hit, like COVID, you always it's nice to be around family, you know, that also understand. So yeah, I think that was tough, and I was missing my family and friends. I was worrying about them, but at the same time, in a way, because the situation was so bad over there, I was kind of glad to be in Kenya. I thought, you know, at least, yes, we're like we have to stay in Nairobi, and that sucks because I want to explore Kenya. But at the same time, you know, I can still like see my friends and do all these things. Of course, there were many restrictions, and people were also like really suffering from COVID here. But at the same time, I thought I even thought, should I maybe go back to France, because I'm working from home anyway. I can do that from anywhere. But I decided to stay, and now I don't regret it, because I think things would have been very different if I had gone back.
What is one thing that made you decide to stay?
Oh, that's a very good question. What is the one thing that made me decide to stay? I think the situation over there, and you know, people not being able to even like go outside of their homes, that's how bad it was. Made me think, well, if I go back and then I'm just stuck in a home, at least here in Nairobi, now I'm here, I've traveled 10,000 of kilometers to be here. Now let me at least finish that internship that I was doing at the time. And you know, maybe things will open up here again, and I'll be able to, you know, travel and experience Kenya as it is, like usually outside of those like exceptional COVID times. And also I had already made some friends in Kenya, so I thought, you know, at least I have people around me that I care about and I'm happy to be around. So I guess both things, that I was feeling like I was like settling down in Kenya, and also the fact that it was so bad in Europe. Both things made me stay.
Okay, cool. Switching gears a little bit, I know now it's been like 4 years since you've been in the country, and besides the social life aspect and being adventurous, of course, part of the adventure that you are doing, of course, is now it's your professional world. And being now, of course, working as an intern then, and of course you've progressively moved from an intern now to where you are. How would you say has been your journey professionally here in the country for the last 4 years?
I think when I started as an intern and I was just finishing university, I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to be doing and what was the thing that really motivated me. Well, at least I did know, actually. I know I wanted to, you know, be in that field where I feel like I can contribute to making like the world a better place. Or trying to. And I felt like that's something I want to be doing. I feel like I want to be doing something meaningful, but then how exactly and where exactly, I didn't really know. And it's a big, you know, field of work, with lots of different possibilities and opportunities. And so I thought, okay, that internship is a good way to start. And then I tried it out, and I enjoyed the people, I enjoyed the work, and I really worked hard. I think I give it a more than 100%, and I think also people recognized that I was motivated and that I was, you know, dedicated. And also learning as much as I could. You know, it was completely new, this field of work for me. So I was really absorbing everything and trying to learn very quickly and how to do things, how to manage situations. And I tried to do that as much as I could. And then the people I was working with recognized maybe those efforts and decided to give me another chance with a more, not a stable contract, but at least, you know, a proper contract. yeah, and then that's how the journey started. Then I continue to try to improve my work every day, learning from the people, the colleagues, learning from how management works, and also like technical knowledge, trying to improve that.
Yeah.
And continuing to work hard.
Okay.
And I think that it paid off, because then work picked up, and the people I was working with recognized maybe some of those efforts, and saw that my skills also were I was trying to enhance my skill set and my knowledge. And I guess it's just about the motivation and the like willingness to learn and to like trying to improve yourself, and people will see that. So yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if that answered your question.
I like how you, you found a balance between, of course, enjoying this adventure. And I think now it's been 4 years, of course. It has been that journey professionally. You have shown the hard work. You've not stopped at anything. You've kept on going. And of course, that is being seen and being appreciated. And now we are here, and you've socially also, you've been able to make friends. You've been able to, you've talked about traveling and, of course, exploring the country. I don't know if there are certain memories that you'll say, one of those things that you'll say you've really enjoyed best moments that you've had in the last 4 years.
Wow. This is a good question, but also tough. You're putting me on the spot.
You're doing good so far. So.
Am I?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's hard for me to pick a few moments. I think there've been so many like really good memories that I cherish from my time here in Kenya, and that also make me stay because I enjoy it here so much. Like the first time that sounds like silly for you, but the first time I went on a like trip to see the animals and the wildlife, and the first time I saw like a lion for the first time, like live,
like Simba.
Exactly. So not in a zoo, but actually living its own free life as a lion.
So you want to say like in Europe you only have lions in the zoo, and
we don't have like safari
safari type of okay.
We have zoos and we have other animals that live freely, but no lions and zebras.
Which one are these animals that live freely?
When I took the train to Mombasa and I saw those elephants, and I thought, wow, how amazing is this? Anyway, that was one of the moments, but that's very stereotypical. But it's also, like really good moments with friends, and people also being so kind to open their doors to me and to their own like family life, or like very, I don't know, like authentic moments of life in Kenya that I was able or had the chance to have access to thanks to the friends I made here. And I think those moments in life of like getting to know someone's family and how they live in the countryside or here in Nairobi, I think all of that were such amazing moments that I feel so grateful for.
What would you say is the difference between the life up country here in Kenya? What's the difference between here and Europe? What is it? The setup, is it more of like the same? Do you have guys like go to the shamba? I know you've been to different places in the country. How would you compare that to maybe the Europe?
You mean like life in the countryside here and life in the countryside in Europe?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's like so different. It's hard to compare. I think here in Nairobi, especially, most Nairobians don't actually come from Nairobi. They have their parents or their family homes somewhere in the countryside. And in France, for example, or Germany or some other countries in Europe, there are more like small cities. There are capitals and big cities. And I don't know. Actually, there's not much that dynamic of people going back to the village, as you call it.
Yeah.
Like in the weekends and go and see family.
Mm-hmm.
It's more that people stay in their cities.
Yeah.
Because their cities already provide lots of services.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, like life in the countryside is so different here. It's a different lifestyle. It's a different setup of like also availability of certain services and also like economic life. People in the countryside, live on agriculture and farming, and there's maybe less of that in Europe, where it's more like industrial farming, agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough question.
I know. I mean, like you've
different.
tried to answer that. I mean, I've seen the difference.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting that there is that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, these are two different worlds.
Yeah.
and it's interesting how you've really enjoyed and you've been exploring and you've been continuously become very adventurous. I don't know if there's one part of this country that you really love and you're like, I always want to go to this place.
And that I haven't been to yet?
Maybe you've been to probably, or you haven't been to.
Oh, well, there are still so many places that I want to explore in Kenya, so I'm not... I mean, that's a difficult question.
I mean, what is this place that you've gone and you really enjoyed yourself and you're like, I would love to come back here again?
Mm-hmm.